Welcome to Threes and TDs. Today we're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers, what happened on Friday in that preseason game versus the Browns. We're going to look forward to next week, which is where we play Houston, and some of the players have popped off, and just some of the chatter in Panthers community about what we're seeing. And so thanks for being here. So Friday the Panthers played, and yesterday I kind of looked at some of the stuff that was going on, some of the tape, all that kind of stuff. The All-22 is out, so a lot of people have been putting up clips. And so I'll talk about some of those clips and just what I think is good, what's not so good, what we need to calm down on, what we need to maybe accentuate. So we'll talk about all of it. In the presser after the game, Dave Canales was asked how many series the starters are going to play. So this is important because if you remember last week when this question was asked, what Dave Canales said was that it was going to be 8 to 12 plays. So he's kind of increasing it a little bit more for this next game. So this next game, what he's hoping is that the starters play 3 series, essentially. And so that's one more. And it's kind of a deviation, like we talked about from the video yesterday. It's kind of a deviation from what happened last preseason, because last preseason what happened is that he took the Los Angeles Rams approach. And the Los Angeles Rams approach was essentially to say, we're not going to play our starters. We're going to allow them to get these reps in the joint practices. So it's very, very different. I think it's a really good thing. I also think it shows that Dave Canales is willing to learn from his mistakes, because it was clear week 1, right? Like Bryce did not play well week 1. Bryce did not play well at all. So I think that we're going to get 3 series against Houston. The other thing that I think is really important to talk about, because I noticed that the play call, there were a lot more throws than there were runs. And that's a deviation than from what Canales said last year. So I was wondering what was going on. Well, it comes out that our offensive coordinator was the one that was calling plays. So Canales wanted to get him some reps, wanted him to just be able to, I guess, call the offense. That's not going to happen during the regular season. Canales is going to be the primary person that calls plays. But I think there was a focus. And the focus for the offensive coordinator was, let's see what our offensive weapons can do. Like, let's see what kind of firepower we have here. I thought, like, I wouldn't read too much into it. I still think that week 1 against Jacksonville, there's going to be a balance of like run and throws. I think it's going to be a really balanced attack. But I think for this preseason game, it was clear that they wanted to, on offense, pass, have way more passes than runs. So I don't think that Canales and company are going to deviate from that. Like, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So that's an important thing to kind of think about. I really believe that Bobby Brown III, the free agent acquisition that came over for the Rams, if you remember, at the end of the year, when The Athletic and The Ringer and all of these shows are saying who was the best free agent acquisition, I believe it's going to be Bobby Brown III. He is absolutely phenomenal. There were some people were putting up clips of essentially his reps. He's a nose tackle. He is not only a phenomenal run stopper, but you can see that if he continues to develop his pass rush, having him next to Derrick Brown is going to completely change our interior defensive line. And so I think it's going to be, I'm excited to see what happens with Bobby Brown and how good he becomes. Panthers culture was talking about this. I guess he knows some people, or he knows people that know people over in the Rams organization. The Rams loved Bobby Brown, but they're so deep on the defensive line that he didn't need to be utilized in an every down kind of way. But he will be utilized way more with the Panthers than he was with the Rams because we just don't have that D-line depth. But I say that to say that I think Bobby Brown is going to absolutely be phenomenal. And I need to look up what the Bobby Brown contract is. Let me do that right now. But if I remember correctly, it was not super expensive. He signed a 3-year, $21 million contract. So that's $7 million a year, which to us normies sounds like a lot of money. If you get a really good nose tackle for that, that is a bargain. If that's the contract that Dan Morgan got with Bobby Brown, and he turns out to be what I think he's going to turn out to be, I mean, that is an absolute steal. That is a phenomenal contract for Dan Morgan. So anyways, that's what I'm looking for, Bobby Brown. The other thing too is it is a preseason game. I understand that you don't want to look at the scoreboard and say, oh my gosh, it's 30-10, or whatever the score was, 30-7. It doesn't really matter. It's preseason. I understand that you want your team to do well, but our starters, like even Shedeur, I thought Shedeur played phenomenal. I'm really happy for him. There's no reason for him to have had slip to the 5th round, but he was playing against 2s and 3s. Now, can there be an argument to be made of, hey, I wish we had the Baltimore Ravens kind of depth? Sure, but we don't, because Dan Morgan and company are trying to rebuild this whole thing after the mess that Matt Rule and Scott Fitter and Tepper made for the years prior. And so there's going to be a video that's coming out, I think this next week, where I'm going to talk about free agents and how Dan Morgan has essentially prioritized certain position groups. The first year, it was the offensive line. He went out to go get Robert Hunt. He went out to go get Damian Lewis. We spent first-round capital on Xavier Legette. We got Jalen Coker. The second offseason, it was different. The second offseason was more wide receiver with Tedero McMillan, a lot more defensive line help in the offseason and the draft. So I know that we want this team to be loaded, but it's not going to be loaded, and it's not going to be loaded for a long time. So I think I don't want to say give Dan time, but really we're not in a 3-year rebuild yet. I think next offseason Dan's going to prioritize our linebacker core, which is our weakest position group by far. Like, it's not even close. Our linebacker room is trash. And he's going to get more safety help and more cornerback help. Evero's system requires for the safeties to come up in the box and be really, really good. So anyways, those are my thoughts on that. I am looking forward to Houston, especially from an offensive standpoint, because I want to see how Tedero and Stingley match up with each other. And that defense is phenomenal. That defense is very good, especially the back half of the defense. It's just phenomenal. So I want to see what happens in joint practices and in the game. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. I think that our D-line, what we're going to hear from Mike K and Joe Person and Sheena and some of the people that are like local that are reporting on this, is that I think our D-line is going to have a really good week, because that O-line for Houston is one of the weakest position groups that they have. They tried to, remember, they traded Tunsil out. They did a bunch of different things. They did a bunch of different things to like strengthen that O-line, but it is not, like, I think our D-line is going to have good reps against that offensive line. But I'm really excited. I'm excited about what we hear this week against Houston, and yeah, I'm trying to do videos more regularly. I don't know that I'll do one every day, but I'm going to try to do like multiple videos a week and just try to get into a rhythm. So Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and hope you all have a good one.